only knows, God only knows, God only knows what I'd be without you. Okay, last time. God only knows what I'd be without you.
Are there people for whom singing in private is enough, is plenty? Surely there are. My mother, I believe, sings only for herself and always has. I haven't heard her sing in years, but when I was a child, I listened closely. I would hear her in the next room singing quietly, singing to herself, and it was beautiful. I could tell it gave her pleasure, and I hasten to say that I have never sung without pleasure, and that I sing when I am alone in the car and when I am alone in the house washing dishes. But always, always I can imagine singing this song, whatever it may be, before an audience. Always, even now, I imagine I am practicing singing this song for that audience, getting it better, getting it right.
Off with my gloves. I need no overcoat. I'm burning with love.
At 15, at home, in my room, alone, with my door firmly closed against my brother, I accompanied myself on guitar. I knew only 3 or 4 chords, though, so when I came to one I didn't know, I'd just thump the body of the guitar. It was better when I had an accompanist, but it was years after high school before I found one. I was in my early 20s when I met Hula, a nickname that makes her sound lighter-hearted, flirtier, a sillier girl than she ever actually was. She was a fine guitarist, and she taught me enough guitar, a dozen chords, some in simplified versions, so that I could accompany myself when I was alone, or write songs, which we practiced together and performed at parties. We were consumed, both of us, with melancholia and anxiety, so that there was a kind of manic gloom about us, gloom with room for optimism. And the songs I wrote for us to sing were infused with that odd combination of misery and cheer, with just a little cynicism mixed in for good measure. Skin-deep cynicism. We were best friends waiting for something better to happen, and we were pretty sure it would sooner or later, but we talked and sang as if we'd already missed the boat. So I write quite a lot about Hula, my New York best friend. We met in our 20s and soon began writing songs and performing them together. At one point in 1980 or so, we performed a song called Baseball Love at a party in Hell's Kitchen. And there was someone present who worked for Major League Baseball who got the idea that we should record a demo of the song.
I was at a baseball game. Second inning, it began to rain. You offered me your umbrella.
Now, all these years later, when we get together, as we often do, both in New York and in Columbus, where I live, she visits. We play the old songs. We hadn't for many, many years, but now we always do.
You stole my heart. When it comes to baseball love, you're a superstar. You're my baseball love. You fit me like a glove.
Singing to my daughter when she was very young was a perfect solution to the problem of audience. She was the ideal audience. She was never disappointed, never critical. She loved my singing. For years, she wanted more, more, more. At bedtime, lying beside her, singing Fly Me to the Moon and Moon River and Shine On, Harvest Moon, I knew she'd be pleased. And when I was through, I knew she'd say, More moon songs, Mama. And I'd sing How High the Moon and By the Light of the Silvery Moon and Blue Moon. I'd sing Someone to Watch Over Me, and she'd ask for the man I love. I'd sing, I've looked at clouds from both sides now. And she'd ask me to sing Misty. And I feel like I'm clinging to a cloud. Whenever I stopped for the night, whenever I said, this is the last song, and then it's time to go to sleep, she'd beg for one more. I always sang one more, and then one more after that.